Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the B Channel podcast where my objective is to bless, edify, and encourage others to live their best lives. Before we dive into today's episode, be sure to like and share this episode if it blessed you, and subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. You can also catch up with me at B Channel 27 on all my socials. I will include my links in the episode description. Now, today's episode is a special treat, y'all. I am here with my good friend, Alicia Francis, for a nice girl chat on love and relationships. I cannot wait for y'all to hear this. Usually I am riding solo, but today I have a special guest, my good friend, Alicia Francis. Tell the people about yourself, sis. How did we meet?
Well, a million years ago, um, we met at Widener University. Amber was just 1 year under me, and we both were nursing students. But Amber definitely has always been somebody that's so sweet and easy to get along with that, like, it's no surprise that we ended up connecting and still communicating to this day.
Oh, I could give you a hug right now. That was so nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's true.
because we bobbed over the abstract voices, the poetry group with our
Yes.
good sis Takia. Shout out to
Yes,
Takia.
exactly.
And so that was one of the places where we had met up too. But
Exactly.
so let's get into the conversation. We're gonna talk about what we look for in dating. But before we say, all of that, who taught you about dating?
I would say, unfortunately, the world, mainly because I grew up in a single parent household. So my mom was the primary one to care for me. But like, she didn't provide any tips in regards to like navigating how to choose like a good man or warning signs or anything like that. She just was like, well, you got your period now, don't get pregnant. That was it. You
Oh,
know,
that was
yeah,
just
there
a
was.
wealth of advice right there.
Yeah, like that was it, she is pretty much traditional old school Jamaican background.
hmm
So they don't really believe in um really going deep into educating their children regarding these things. It's something you shouldn't be doing unless you're married or at least an adult. It's not well, if the guy says this, don't do that. Like, you know what I mean? There wasn't a
Right.
whole lot of knowledge and education from my mother in regards to certain attributes that a man should have if they're going to be my husband. Like now, at the age of 35, just from like being around different kinds of guys or like seeing how my friends are treated or other family members are treated or even just communicating with my grandfather, like now I kind of see stuff that I like or I don't like when it comes to men. But especially entering Widener, I was extremely naive and didn't really know much about dating because I was so sheltered.
Right. I can concur with the whole sheltered thing. And I will say this, that I feel as though when it came to dating, my mom did tell me, certain things to look for, do they have a work ethic? Do they have a job? Do they what are their values like? She did
Mhm.
say that, but the one thing that is that we have on our side is we have social media. Our parents did not have that at their disposal,
That's
and
true.
they did not have these all of these thought leaders and pastors and podcasters and things that are sharing that whole relationship genre type of advice and stuff like that. So it's like we were at a disadvantage because of that, but now we can help the next generation to do relationships better.
Exactly.
because we have that foreknowledge, and it's like I thank God that my mom was one of those people that was like, she only told me what she could. So that's the one thing we got to do is give our parents grace, because you only know what you know.
Exactly.
So what are your non-negotiables in these dating streets?
Definitely someone that is not a good communicator. Like, if I don't hear from you for days at a time, I lose interest.
I
'Cause to
know
me,
that's right.
yeah, like to me, how are you supposed to have anything long lasting if something that simple you're not able to do?
Exactly, because the communication is really like the foundation, that
It
ground
is.
level of the relationship.
Exactly. It is. Definitely cheating, lying, any form of abuse, whether it be verbal or physical, I'm a run.
Right. That's a
Yeah.
sign to
Yeah.
get your sneakers on. Track
Yeah. Like,
star.
exactly. And another one for me is frequent arguing early on. I mean, I
Hmm.
know there's no such thing as a perfect couple, but if there's only a few months in and we already are like disagreeing a lot, that
Hmm.
tells me, I mean, long term, it's probably always going to be like that.
Right, because it's like they show you who they are, but it's up to
Yeah,
you to really believe them that this is more than just a representative. This is the totality of who they are. And
exactly.
sometimes we want to think otherwise. Oh, it's going to get better. They're
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
change. No. This is who they are, sis. This is who they
Right.
are, bro. Okay?
And all you can do is take it or leave it, you know?
Exactly. And
Mhm.
so would you say that you would be willing to date somebody older or younger?
It depends on the gap. I mean, maybe 5 years older or younger, that's fine. But anyone in their 20s, most likely not. Just because I feel like men in their 20s, a lot of times, are not ready to actually get married and have a family and stuff.
Right. There's those rare exceptions, but most of the time they're not. And maybe as you get older, like it will change, because the people that you're going to be talking about, being 10 years your junior is going to be like 30. Or
Exactly.
so it'll
Mhm.
change as you get, that I say, like the numbers, like the age range should change like as you age.
Mhm, mhm, and it's really all about the person's mindset. Because sometimes age doesn't discount people, but it's all about, like, where are they at in life? If I'm hearing the person basically just talking about partying and doing them, that's not someone that I'm gonna be like, "Man, wow, I could really build a foundation with that." Like,
Exactly.
I'm gonna look for the person that's talking about that they desire to have children and a wife in a couple of years. Like, if that's without me saying anything, like if they're saying that on their own and I haven't said what I wanted yet, that automatically to me makes them, oh, that's somebody that I would like to get to know.
Right. And then also it's very important to um make sure we do our due diligence, and it doesn't take long, because people are going to show you, like if you look at their social media, like you be like, okay, what's going on in these stories? What are you talking about on your
Yeah,
stories? And you don't even have to
yeah,
go any further than that, really.
that's true. Sometimes if it's just quote unquote popping bottles and carrying on, clearly you see where their mindset is at. Like
Right.
24/7 if that's all being posted, and there's nothing of substance being posted, you know?
Exactly. That's the key word. Substance is something that is really, lacking these days.
It is, and then when somebody told me before, "Oh, you're too deep." I'm like, "Deep? Why?" Just
Oh,
because it was
how
someone
dare you?
older too, it was someone in their 40s. A guy in his 40s told me that I'm too deep, and I was thinking in my head, "Wow, you're, like, so
So what
immature to
does he
be in your
want then?
40s."
Somebody shallow? Like
Well, based on his conversation, he cares solely about looks. Like, as long as you're pretty, it seems like that's all that matters. Like, he
oh,
didn't
so
really
he could be
say
like an
anything else.
airhead,
Yeah,
basically.
he didn't really say anything else about wanting a woman that, like, had good character or good personality or good morals. Like, as long as
Mm.
she looked good, that's all it seemed like was the big important thing.
So that really just shows you that age does not matter in terms of maturity. It's really
No,
about the
it's
upbringing and the
mindset for
mindset,
sure.
however
Exactly.
old they are, you know.
Exactly, exactly.
And the
Mhm.
environment that they're in too, because it all of that matters. But we're gonna talk about that in a little minute. But
Mhm.
first of
Mhm.
all, let's get to this topic right here. Are you willing to step outside your race? Because a lot of people will be like, I'm team black. I want a black king, and but you know, God is not like sitting there like, oh, this person is going like he's not going to like limit himself. So, what do you think about that? You want to date
I
outside
don't
your
think
race?
I used to be one of them women that was like, "Yeah, honey, chocolate this, that, and the third." But now that I'm older, like honestly, if I came across somebody that was another race that really blew my mind character-wise, personality-wise, and found them attractive as well, I would consider it cuz why not? I mean,
Exactly.
our
Life is
men are
too
not
short.
limiting themselves. They're surely out here going for who wants them with open arms. Like, I'm gonna go where I'm welcomed.
Right. That is true. Love who
Yep.
loves you. And
Mhm. Mhm.
just really like it's really important that we have the conversations and get to know people, and that's why diversity is so important too. And
It
that's one of
is.
the things I loved about college is that you were able to interact with different kinds of people, so it
Yes, I
wasn't like
like that
culture
too.
shock. you
Yep.
know
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
now I'm somebody that really like I like to like learn about different people. So like, when they have those like shows where they talk about different cultures and things, I'll actually watch that. Like, okay, let me
Mhm.
get a understanding of what kind of person this is or whatever. And
That's why I
instead
like
of
to travel. Yep.
yeah, like instead
Mhm.
of being like, oh, they're this or they're that and you don't even know. But one
Mhm.
of the
Mhm.
common I think pitfalls is that you don't know like I think that we all have this idea in our heads, right, that they're not going to understand certain cultural things, like, so that can be like a barrier sometimes. So what do
It
you think
can.
about that?
I think it can be a barrier, but it also depends, like, is that person truly open? Like, are they dating you because of the fantasy behind dating you? Or are they
Right.
dating you because you're someone they're genuinely interested in? Because I don't know if you like, there's lots of like black love couples and interracial couples all over TikTok and social media in general. And one thing that I notice about some of the black women that have white men, their
Mm-hmm.
men be cornrowing hair and helping put in weave and stuff. So
Yes.
they're like very culturally aware. And that's why I say it depends on if the person is already into you, period. They're going to adapt and ebb and flow and do their best to make sure you're comfortable. And I'm sure in return, you would do your best to make sure they're comfortable and that you're knowledgeable about stuff that's important to them too. If it's a, equal partnership.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's about that person's soul and their spirit, their heart, their
Exactly.
mind. It's not
Exactly.
about what they look like, because at the end of the
Right.
day, like you could love anybody. It just really it matters about what's inside.
Exactly. And that's why I say it just depends. Like, don't date anyone that just wants to see what it's like. Date
Right, as a
somebody that all
fetish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, date somebody that truly is just into you as a person. And you can tell they move so different.
Yeah, it's about the intentionality, but we're gonna get to that
Exactly.
later. but
Mhm.
so what's the pettiest reason that you wouldn't date somebody? Like, what's your deal breakers? Like we were talking a little bit about that, but like the pettiest reason, like I'm just not willing to put up with this one thing.
Mm. Wow. Whew. Well, what? Okay, let me ask you that then, because I offhand, like I'm drawing a blank. Like for you, what would you say is the pettiest thing?
Um, I think that I feel like when it comes down to like their conversation, like if
That's a
I
big
get
deal,
bored,
though.
like you know what I mean, like I feel like I'll be like, oh, like, you're not talking about anything, so I'm like, I'm good.
Let me get off
But
the phone, right?
yeah, like, or like you just like you don't have any type of like drive or ambition. I'm just like,
These are
oh,
important things. These are considered petty?
I don't know. Some people might say that like, oh, give them a chance. Let let them grow. Let the relationship grow. Like
I mean,
like
I'm sorry, I've done that and it's gone nowhere, so I wouldn't suggest that. Because you can tell early on,
yeah.
like, when people are about it, and they're not. I'm sorry.
Cause petty to me, petty can be relative. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So it's
okay.
like it's different levels of petty. Like,
Yeah. I mean, okay, if we're gonna say that, someone that can't consistently keep a job then.
oh yeah, because you're
Yeah.
like, come
Well,
on,
where's
like
the
if you can't
stability?
commit to that, how you gonna
Yeah.
commit to me,
Right.
boo?
And then when you're talking about serious stuff such as marriage and finances,
Ooh,
that will have me arguing because then it's gonna feel like everything is on me. Like I don't have
exactly.
like no help or
Support.
support. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's like one of the major downfalls of relationships is finances.
Yes,
So
it is. That will cause a lot of arguments.
yeah, so that's why I mean some people might think that was petty, like what I was saying, or like, oh, the conversation. Because some people, honestly, there are a lot of people out here that have not been taught the art of conversation. And it really is an art to be able to have something to say and contribute and not just give me the one liners, you know what I mean?
Well, also, we live in a generation of texting is better, quote unquote. So
Right.
everybody wants to send you paragraphs instead of actually hopping on the phone to see how someone is
Oh,
doing.
honey. Like I'm the queen of giving a paragraph. I love that. Like give me a paragraph, give me an essay. But when it's like the one word every time, or
Oh
like you
yeah.
don't say nothing all day, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. I'll be like, I'm here for the paragraph and the essays. Come on. Bring them on.
But you know what? I like both because, like, for me, I'm a little bit old school when it comes to dating. Like, I like to actually go places and build memories and hang out. And, like, I think it's cute when a man is still chivalrous and will open your
That
door.
part,
Yeah,
there
that
is
stuff is
nothing like
so
it.
cute to me. Yeah, but guys nowadays don't do any of that. Like their idea of a date, like okay, maybe they'll take you to dinner from time to time, but then if they do, they want you to like go to their house right after. And I'm sorry, I'm
Mhm.
not comfortable with that if I don't know you like that.
Hey, let's talk about it. That
Yeah.
thing right
Mm-mm.
there. So that leads me to the next question. What is your worst date experience?
Oh my gosh, I was
Share it
still
with
at
the people.
Widener. I was still at Widener. I remember I dated this guy that was in my psychology class. He asked me out,
Hmm.
which was cool because he was attractive and like he wrote poetry. So, of course, with us abstract voices people, I was like,
Yes.
okay, great, and intellectual.
Hmm.
So, first
Promising.
red flag, he asked me to pick him up from work.
Ooh.
Yes. So I was like, okay. So I picked him up. Then our date was at the Philadelphia Zoo. So went to the zoo. Next red flag, he's asking if we can get discounted parking with our school IDs. I
Oh.
know. So they said no. So then I had to pay for the parking. Then he was on the phone the entire time when we were at the
What?
zoo with multiple pastors.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, next red flag. Then when it was time for us to order food, like I had to pay for my own food and he paid for his own food.
So it was a Dutch situation.
Yes.
And this is
Then
the
after
first date?
yes, then listening to him, I ended up getting in a slight car accident. I know. Then he was like, "They was in your blind spot. They was in your blind spot." I was like,
Oh my
what the heck?
goodness.
Then after that, I drove him home. So needless to say, a couple days later, he texts me saying that he thought we had a nice date, that he would like for us to go to the aquarium and, that kind of thing. And I was like, no, no, thank you. I'm not
What's up
interested.
with all these like zoo aquarium
I
type
mean, I
situations?
I don't mind museums, zoos, and aquariums and so forth, but if you're gonna, I'm sorry, but I feel like if you ask somebody on the date
You should
as a
pay.
gentleman, thank you. If you said let's hang out as friends,
That's
I might have
different.
thought, okay, this is a Dutch thing. He's not like that's not what type time we're on. But like when you ask to take me out, I shouldn't have to pick you up from work and like pay for my own food. And then also you're on the phone the whole day.
Not paying attention. Like you at least pay
Yeah.
attention if you're not gonna pay for anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was looking at animals by myself. I was thinking in my head, I could have did this alone. Like I didn't need to be on a date to see animals alone.
Right.
So for
That's
me,
just
that was my
wow.
worst experience because too many things happened at once. And
Hmm.
then, like, at the time, I kind of felt like I settled a little bit because he had kids. And back then, I didn't have children. So I originally wanted to be with someone without children. So it, like, for me, it was like, geez, like, I tried to, like, try something different,
Compromise.
compromise, be open, and yada, yada. And it was like, for me, somewhat of a ghetto situation. So I was just like, yeah, I'm good. No, for real. I
Dating
was
can
like,
be ghetto though.
this is too much.
It's
Like,
ghetto
this is
here.
too much. It is. I'm not for it. Send me to the suburbs. I need a
Ah!
suburban situation
Not the
where I can
suburbs.
actually get a real date and not no Dutch stuff. Like, for real. It was just too
She
much.
said send me to the suburbs.
For
Ooh,
real. That's what I
that is a
need.
tweetable moment.
For real, please. I need a white picket fence date
Oh
that would
yes,
eventually
honey.
turn to some marriage, not
Ooh.
no potential second, third, fourth baby mama nonsense.
Ooh, Jesus.
Yeah, so
Mm.
I was good off that one date. I was so good.
Yeah, that's all you
Cuz
need to
people
know.
yeah, people don't realize first impressions mean everything.
They
Like
sure
you
do.
can't come across a wreck and then hope for a second try.
Ooh, preach on
You know
it.
what I mean? Yeah.
'Cause that's kind of like that reminded me of mine's. Like I felt like it was my birthday one year, and
Oh,
I
even
thought that we were
worse,
gonna go
gee.
out somewhere, and it was just we just end up driving around in a rental car. So I was like, okay,
So you just drove in a rental just with no destination in mind.
exactly. So that was just underwhelming. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
See, if I ever have a son, Lord, I'm gonna have to explain to him do's and don'ts of dating.
right,
Because these are not dates here. For all that, even if y'all went to the park and just had a small picnic, that's reasonably
right.
priced and you could have still communicated. Cuz I know people can try and say, "Well, we don't have money for all that," but there's cheap and free things that you can
Mm-hmm.
do to show a woman that you're interested and you want to really get to know her.
Yeah, man. Talk about it. Talk about it. It's
Yeah,
it's
that's
wild out
crazy.
here, man. That
It
that was
is.
back in the day, so this Amber knows better.
Yeah, but how would you know? You're thinking they have something like sweet in mind.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, okay. So you know how you be like taking a drive, like on a drive, like in Philly, like it
Yeah,
was like it
but
was like
that's
something like
crazy.
that.
It's crazy.
So let's move on. Since we was talking about the children anyway.
Mhm,
Okay, so we're gonna talk about dating after having children. How does
mhm.
being a mom affect your dating life?
It makes you more cautious about who you entertain. And I know for myself, I can't speak for other people, you're less likely to tolerate a lot of nonsense because of the fact that you have a little person around, you know?
Right,
Because I want to make sure I'm being treated well in front of her. So
right.
if I'm smelling nonsense and games and poor communication and disappearing acts, I'm
She
out of
said
there.
smelling nice.
Yeah, I am. Like
Ooh.
I don't tolerate a lot of stuff anymore. 21-year-old me, if you were cute and nice, that was enough. Now,
Mhm.
cute and nice is not enough because I have too much to lose, in my opinion, as far as not having like a positive representation of a man for her to look up to.
Right. So that leads me to another question. How soon would you introduce a mate?
Um, I feel like 6 months to a year's worth of consistency is safe,
Right.
you
So would
know?
you wait until you had like a ring and y'all was engaged, or would you be like sooner than that? Like,
Probably sooner than engagement because I would want to make sure my child even likes you. You
yeah,
know what
that's a
I
good
mean?
point.
But definitely long enough communication and at least we have had that conversation of marriage. Maybe not happening that year, but at
Hmm.
least it has been brought up enough for me to feel like it would be going somewhere. If I'm talking to someone and it's not being brought up and they're not really talking to me every single day and stuff like that, I would probably be hesitant to even bother.
Right. So what kind of man do you think you need as a mom?
Especially since I'm very career driven and focused, I need
Hmm.
somebody that is similar. Like, even if you don't have a degree in a field, I need to see that you're hardworking and you're able, say my car broke down and like, I don't know, even if they couldn't leave work, they did everything in their power to send me AAA or whatever. That
Right.
means a lot. Like, wow, you wanted to make sure I wasn't stranded on the road. Like, that is so sweet.
Exactly. Like I
Yeah.
love what Kev on stage says. He's like, sometimes he'd be like, "Oh, I could be mad at her, but I'm always gonna make sure her car is filled up so she not stranded somewhere.
Well, see,
Make
that's
sure her car is
cute.
filled up with
Yeah.
gas."
Yeah, like, it shows care and concern.
Right. Like he was like, I don't care how mad I am, I'm still gonna do what I gotta do. Like,
Right.
and I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, and some people are petty. If they're upset, don't ask them for jack, so
Right. So, like, okay, I'm like a fan of like certain reality shows, like dating reality shows that's out now. I'm really loving this place that we're in. It was like this all these black love type of shows. And I don't know if you watch Sisters or Zatima. Do you watch either of them?
no, mm-mm.
Okay, yeah, those like I like how the vibe is between the two characters, Fatima and Zach, because they really ride for each other, and like they have real honest dialogue, and it's not just surface. Like you can tell they're really there for each other. And that's
Mhm,
like I love that. And like it's always fun to watch because of that dynamic, you know. And
mhm.
like do you watch like Ready to Love or Asking for a Friend? The one or Put a
No,
Ring on It.
I have never watched any of these things. Are they available on Netflix?
Ready to Love and Put a Ring on It is on OWN. Asking
Okay.
for a Friend and the one is on TV One. It just came out like last week. The one just came out. Kurt Franklin has a new show called The One.
Mhm,
And Asking for a Friend, like that's been on for a couple months now. Ready to Love been on for like several seasons. Put a Ring on It has been on for several seasons. Those two are from Will Packer, and Asking for a Friend, that's like Lisa Ray hosts that one, and she kind of like narrates. It's kind of funny. So that really just begs the question: would you ever see yourself like going on one of those reality shows? Like if like the dating sites don't work, or like just meet people in person doesn't work, would you ever see yourself going on one of those type of shows?
I don't know, just because I always question people's intentions on there, like, are they on there just to be on TV?
Right.
You know what I mean? Are they really searching for love? So that's the only reason I wouldn't, because 'cause I'd be worried about how genuine the person is.
But would you okay, so like let's say all right, you're not gonna go on the show, but would you be open to the idea of dating multiple people at once?
I mean, I've done that anyway in real life just to see, like, where people's head was at, and it's too much work.
I
Like,
know, right? It's a lot of energy
too
just
much
to
work.
talk to one person.
It is. So I
Whew.
found out very early on that I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. And then not only that, like I found what traits I like versus what I didn't like. The only good thing is it made me positive of what I don't want in a man.
Ooh, that
S-
part.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. Like when I saw different traits in them, like I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. Mm-mm.
That's how I wonder sometimes, like, is there like a deficit with those people that they get married early and it's like their high school, college sweetheart, whatever? It's like you didn't have anybody else to really compare them to, but if it works for you.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, they don't need a comparison because when you have a comparison, that's when people have issues.
That is true though, but it's
You
like
know what I mean?
it's
Because
just
like,
weird.
well, it's rare. I'll say that because if that happened to me and I had my true love at 18, I honestly would be happy because I'm a family person anyway. So it
Yeah.
doesn't bother me like being with the same person for 30, 40, 50 years. But
Oh,
yeah, I'm a hopeless romantic girl.
I call
So
myself a hopeful.
yes, hopeful, romantic. Yeah, but like, I think, when people do have comparisons, that's where the issues lie. Like, oh, well, this person
Too
did things
much.
that way. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I preferred how that person did that this way. And like, I know because I sometimes listen to different podcasts or gurus or whatever on YouTube, and they were
Hmm.
saying that like most people that have like had a whole bunch of like partners and stuff, their marriages are less likely to work because they have too much to compare to.
Ooh,
So if
I
who
never
they're
thought
with,
about it.
yeah, so if who they're with does not match up to, even if it's sexually, like better partners they've had in the past, they're more likely to leave the person that they're currently with.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep,
Isn't
man.
it? But when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it would be a sweet thing to be able to say, "Oh, I was 13," because I was watching this podcast this morning, and the guy was talking about how he was like 13, and the girl was like 15 or something like that. They knew each other way, way younger, and then they got married, and it was like 19 or 21. Like, I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, that is so cute."
That is really cute. Yeah, that is. If you think
Yeah,
about it, our grandparents did that kind of stuff.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
they was like 5, and they got married.
Right. But like you said, they didn't have the influences of social media.
So it was
Now,
different.
yep,
It was
now
nobody
people
else to
can
find.
yep, now people can drool over IG model and this and that and again, comparison. Oh, how come your body don't look like hers? And you know what I mean?
Child, that's Photoshop.
Yes, exactly. Or surgery or both.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So, would you ever be open to going on a double blind date with your friend?
I would. That kind of sounds fun, you know?
Yeah, because that's like the premise of the show. Like they are friends and they set each other up with two dates, and then at the end of the night, they gotta pick one to come back and like see, if they have a connection with their person. Try to have a
Yeah.
connection. So
Mhm.
I think that's really cool. Like, cause at least okay, that's your friend picking. So they should have some idea
Of
of
what
what
you
you
would like.
like. Right.
Exactly.
So it feels safer because also you're together. So it's not you out there by yourself on a date.
Exactly.
So I always
Exactly.
find that I thought it's really cute, but some people it's like, I don't know, y'all picking right. I don't know.
Right. Well, I know for my friends, I would only pick who I see them being compatible with. Like somebody that's like-minded, you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Have you ever played matchmaker?
No, I don't do that because I feel like if it don't work, I don't want to get cussed out. So I'd rather let people choose who they want when they want.
I
That
hear
way they
you.
can't say, "Well, Alicia, why you hook me up with so and so when they're
Knowing
over
that was
here?"
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want that. Mm-mm. Nope.
So, how do you feel about like on these shows? Sometimes they will move in right and be living together. Now they probably in separate rooms. It's not co-ed, I'm assuming, but people be sneaking probably back and forth. But how do you feel about that? Would you ever do something like that where you just live in the house with all these people?
Um, What kinda like how they do well, when Real World was out? Like,
Or
just
like anything like Queen's Court, they live together. Like all these shows, these love reality shows, they have this. It's like this thing now where they'll have them live together or go on some type of getaway and be all in the same house. You know,
they
what do you
just
think about
want
that?
drama, cause like, if you do that and you put liquor in there, it's gonna be entertainment. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like they know what they doing.
Yes, they do, and
So
it's
they
definitely for ratings, so it does its job, but I can't see me being on there just because I I love peace and tranquility, and when I think of those environments, just seems
right.
drama filled, you know?
Exactly, because it's like you don't really know these people. Y'all got me in this house with these
No,
people,
exactly. Yeah,
and
you
it's a
don't
lot
really
to
know
me.
them. Mhm.
But
Yeah.
here's a really, you know, I think a deep question. How long do you think you would wait before being married? Because some people out here waiting like 13 years and whatnot.
Heck no. Like, if I'm dating somebody,
Yeah.
if it's not brought up at least within a year and a half, I'm gone because
Oh, that's a tight
'cause
timeline, girl. Yes.
no, but I just feel like as a man, if you see forever with somebody,
right.
and I wasted 4 years with somebody before, so I don't plan to waste another 4. So it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not something that you at least bring up at some point or say along the lines like, I really could see some type of future with you,
Right.
then it's gonna be a waste of my time. Cause like, I even with dating now, I go by keywords. If somebody is saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm not looking for nothing serious," I don't even like b
Entertain it.
yeah, I'm like, "Okay, pew," like, in my head,
right.
I'm out. Like
She checked out. She like SpongeBob. I'ma head out.
exactly, or if they're like, that or if they're saying stuff like they're basically trying to
Go with the
fool
flow.
around. Yeah, go with the flow. I'm out. If they want to fool around but not have any title, I'm out. Anything that sounds like you don't want anything real, I'm out.
Oh, that is so good. It
Yeah,
really
or if you're like, I'm
is.
focusing on myself right now, lovely, I'm out. Because I feel like
Not lovely.
no, because I just feel like, again, to me, that sounds like you're gonna do you,
mm-hmm.
and whenever you feel good and ready, then you're gonna come over here, and I'm not for that. So,
Right. Cause the show put a ring on it, right? That's the premise behind that. These are
mhm,
couples that have been established. They have been together for like most of the time it's like 3 years. And so they put them through the paces and they date other people to see
mhm.
if there is going to be someone that shows them that they need to walk away or do they need to put a ring on it because
Oh, I
the
remember seeing the commercials for that. Okay.
yeah, it's like the whole point is like, oh, it's not to just run away with somebody else, but to like learn, okay, what do I like about my partner? What do I not like about my partner? And then they have
Right.
these therapy sessions, either individual, they'll have them if they want to have one with her, as a couple, so off to the side or individual, and then they have group sessions at the end, like the end of every week they meet up, and she like tells them, they're gonna go on another date or whatever. They go on multiple dates sometimes with the same person, and that kind of creates some tension because like, oh, what's going on here? Why they keep going on this
Right.
date with this
Clearly, they're
person?
interested in each other. Right.
Right. So it's like it puts some fire under somebody. Like, okay, I'm either gonna, stay on the pot or get off. What they
Mhm.
say, that old saying. So it's like I love that because it's like, okay, what you gonna do? And sometimes it seems like they just like they saying, "Will you marry me for the TV?" and then they don't even do it in real life. But
See, and I ain't got time for that.
right,
Mm-mm.
and then other times I'm like, okay, they made the right choice because I could see that wasn't going to come to fruition because of how he
Mhm.
was moving, and
Exactly.
so it
And
was just a lot.
yeah. And I don't blame them because now it's like, I feel like as you get older, you have to move with intention. So
Hmm.
it's like now for me, pink flags, I'm just like, I ain't got
Okay,
time for them to turn red. So I'm
I
just like,
know,
you know
and
what?
people be trying to call the red ones pink and orange and white. everything else.
Yeah.
This man
I'm
got a
like,
whole
"It's
book about
alright.
it.
I've seen enough." Pew! Like
Yeah, it's this guy named Conway Edwards. He has a whole book about that, about the flags, like,
Mhm.
red flags and stuff. And that's
Mhm.
like, it was just so funny how he would talk about things like, he's a pastor, and I think he's from like Jamaica, so he's hysterical, and like he's just,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he is.
oh
My
my
people are
goodness.
funny.
My goodness, I'll be on there like, all right. Like he was on a Dear Future Wifey podcast. That's where I discovered him at, and I was like, oh my god, he keeps it so real. So you
Mm-mm-mm.
wanna like know the real, like when it comes to dating, you wanna know. So that's like a good segue because we're gonna talk about have you read any inspirational books on the topic of dating? Like what's your favorite book on the topic of dating?
Not on the topic of dating per se.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, no, that's not true. When Megan Good and her husband were still married,
Mm-hmm.
I read The Wait. That was really inspirational. But then when they divorced, I was like, dang. So,
It's
you
kind of
know,
like,
it's like,
okay, did that really work? But
yeah.
it's
So it
about the
made
two
me
people.
Yeah, it made me like reevaluate like, man, they're like so Christ focused and Christ centered. Like I'm surprised that they didn't work. But outside of love, I read The Secret, which would for me for a really long time, that book was just inspirational, just in life, period, as far as like, believing in yourself and manifesting some of the things that you want to see come to fruition.
Who is that by?
I forget who. You know what? It's been so many years since I read that thing. Hold on, I'm about to look up the author now because I read it like a few times back in the day.
Hmm.
Let me see. Do, 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 do. Rhonda Byrne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so what was I saying? So based on what you were saying about the wait, do you agree with the 90-day rule or do you think that you should wait?
What? I definitely agree with the 90-day rule. If you're like entertaining them sexually, it weeds out a lot of bad eggs.
Yeah, that's true. But do
Yeah,
you
like
think that
people.
you like one of the people that's gonna be like, I'm waiting to the bitter end, like I'm gonna wait to the altar? Like you think that's you or
That used to be me back in the day. It definitely was me. Now I'm open to either or. You know what I mean?
right,
Like I'm not gonna be the first date. Heck no. The nurse in
right.
me could never. Cause for real, the nurse in me could never. I like having things balanced pH wise properly.
I know
So
that's right.
yeah, but I have no problem waiting. And if I came across someone that did want to wait till marriage, I would be like, wow, like this is so amazing. And it would make me think I'm, coming into something that's going to be healthy and long lasting.
Right.
Because they're placing Christ at the forefront and they're putting a halt to their flesh. So that is so
Ooh.
sexy to me. And it's not something you regularly come across. I will say my cousin is lucky because her and her husband waited and they have
Mhm.
an amazing marriage and they've been together a total of 7 years now.
That's
You know what I
awesome.
mean? And I think a lot of that came from them doing that and then just they're a couple that prays together all the time. Like
Mhm.
they're really, really inspirational as far as like being grounded and, doing things the right way and basically reaping what you sow essentially.
Right. So, do you think that we can still find a good godly man out here in these Christian dating streets?
It's going to be a challenge and take lots of prayer, lots of discernment, because sometimes people come as a sheep in wolf's clothing. So it's
Ooh.
just like we have to be mindful of key phrases that people are saying. And also we have to look at what they're doing too. Like for me, words used to be enough, and then I would get all shocked and disappointed, like, well, wait a minute, you said you were gonna do XYZ. So
Mm-hmm.
now I look at both. You said you're gonna do XYZ, I hold them to it. okay, you didn't do what you said you was gonna do. So like now I just don't really take what you say as seriously anymore.
Right.
You know what I
Like,
mean?
where's the fruit?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that could be applied to anything. Like, if a
Mm-hmm.
friend is supposed to give you $200 on the 12th, now it's a whole nother month. Well, you said you were gonna,
Mm-hmm.
give me the money on the 12th. Like, if they already showed you that, guess what? Just don't ever trust that they'll pay you back in the future if they come back around and want to borrow money again. You know what I mean?
Right. But do you think it's really possible to have like the God honoring relationship in this climate? Like all the waiting and the courting and being exclusive and all of those things?
Um, it's hard, but
Mm-hmm.
if you think about it, there have been people that have done it.
Mm-hmm. You see a lot of couples
Yeah.
on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah. And then it's just like, we have to be intentional in finding those people and like kind of do our due diligence and research and seeing where they are,
And what
you
does it
know.
mean to you though to keep Christ at the center when you date?
Um really just looking at a man's character cuz God wants us like our character to be Christ-like.
Right.
So it's just like, is this someone of their word? Like, how do they treat others around them? How do they treat their parents? Like,
That part.
I feel like when you see how somebody treats other people that have nothing to gain, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it shows a lot. It's one thing if somebody treats someone good that could potentially make them rich, but do they treat a homeless person with that same type of attitude and
Or the
mentality?
waiter.
Yeah, somebody
Hmm.
that like can't do nothing for them. Like, how do they treat them? Because I feel
Right.
like it'll be a huge reflection on how they'll treat us.
Oh, that's a good point right there, man.
You
I'm
know what
telling
I
you,
mean?
character is
Yeah.
everything.
Character is everything because I mean, you can be as fine as you want to be, but if your character sucks, even if
Ooh,
you have the fine man, you're going to be miserable.
right. So that leads me to how do you think we can spot a counterfeit?
Them actions and words not matching, the math got to be mathing because
Right.
2 plus 2 equals 4, not 5. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
say to people that, like, try to say, "Oh, well, I did this because of that." No. It's very right and wrong. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's really all about is what the person is doing and saying equivalent.
Oh yes, that's a good word.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this fear and this anxiety and this peer pressure that may happen when dating, how important do you think it is um who knowing who you are, how important do you think that is?
Oh, as far as succumbing to peer pressure?
Yeah, like get like overcoming the fear, the anxiety, the peer pressure and all that. How do you think, like, how important do you think that is, knowing who you are?
Well, the thing is, we can't give in because society, especially being a black woman, 30 plus and not married, they have so much negative stuff to say about us. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And
Right.
it's just like if we listen to every negative thing we heard about the journey, we'd be ready to commit suicide. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
But it's
true.
just like, we have to change our mindset and our outlook. And I can agree. I've been one to be like, oh Lord, I guess it wasn't in the cards. Like the main one,
Child.
like, Lord, you just must want me single. I guess there's nobody here for me. But then I gotta remember, because like I recently listened to a podcast that you did with another vlogger, and you said that, it's never too late and we can't think like that. It's like our time is coming too. And she mentioned that she overcame struggles with even health issues and conditions that she dealt with, and she still found somebody that loved her enough to not care about that, you know?
Right.
Um, so it's just, it's all about our mindset. It's all about making sure that the things that we're expecting from a man, we can give to. Like,
Oh,
we
that
can't
part.
say, oh, I need this career driven man with this, that, and a third, and he better have him a Bentley and blah, blah, blah. Do we got a Bentley? Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
We have to be realistic in our expectations of people. That's why I say if you got your own and you're sustaining it and maintaining it without struggle, to me, I think that's beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Nobody's asking you to make 1 million a month, but
Right.
be comfortable enough to where we could come together and build an empire and like not be a burden to each other.
Come on, Empire.
Yeah, like can we just come together on one accord
Yeah.
and really have something great, you know?
Yeah. So how important do you think when you were talking about mindset, it came to me again. What is like how important do you think affirmations are in that process of, being single, that whole experience, that journey of being single?
Um, Affirmations mean a lot because like you said, it's easy to settle, succumb to peer pressure, be with somebody that you don't want just to say you have a man, but then you end up unhappy.
Mhm.
So it's like you kind of have to remind yourself like, all right, when I did it the way that I shouldn't have, I was still annoyed. So wouldn't I
Mhm.
rather just be annoyed alone? You know what I mean?
Come on, the annoyed alone congregation. I
Yeah,
concur.
so
I
that
concur.
yeah, that's my thing. Like, I would rather like wait, struggle, and be sure that I got what I wanted than struggle, settle, be annoyed, and then still end up single again anyway.
Ooh, come on now. You
Yeah.
preaching today.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like it's all about transparency, and we have to be very true and honest with ourselves about what we want, what we can tolerate, and just like when you're honest with yourself and more self aware, it makes it easier to make better decisions.
Right. So, how important do you think it is to have the right friends, the right tribe, sister circle in your corner?
Matters a lot. I had to be very real and raw. Like, I
Hmm.
have friends that are all about, one day wanting a family, one day creating some type of generational wealth, traveling with their children, wanting their children to have the best, praying in advance for future children. Like, I have friends that at the end of the day, they desire to have somebody amazing in their lives to spend the rest of their life with. I don't have anyone that like doesn't look at that as a goal.
Mm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. You gotta have the right people because if everybody around you was like, I don't care,
Yeah.
and they just
Yeah.
like so downtrodden and just, distressed and just kind of just in this sour mood as it
Yeah.
pertains to relationships, that drags you down.
It does. And then you have some women that also think like men and, quote unquote, are doing them and not worried about them and this and that. But then it's like, there's something deeper behind it. A lot of times they've been hurt and now they just have this wall that
They're
nobody can
jaded.
break down. Yeah. And jaded, and it's just like, we need some sort of healing. It's like, have that mindset because then you still end up unhappy.
Right. But how important do you think it is to know what you want?
Very important because both parties need to state it early on, men and women. People
Yes.
are not fully honest about what they're looking for, and that's what causes issues down the line.
Yes, a lack of communication.
Yeah, and you have to be intentional. If you're going on a first date, nobody's asking for socials, but all I'm saying is you ask them, what is it that you are looking for? And
Right.
that to me is a loaded question. They can say, "Oh, I'm not looking for anything serious and focus on myself, yada yada yada." But if you as a marriage-minded individual hear that, like don't invest yourself in that person. I mean, they're not a bad person, but they're just not where you are right now. Like I would move on to somebody that on their own without your interjection of saying what you wanted supplied the same thing that you would have said.
Right. Cause that's important too because when you meet people, they'll try to be like a mirror and say, "Oh, I want that
Exactly.
too,"
Yeah,
but they really
exactly.
don't.
No, they just want you to be impressed by them.
And
And
then
that's why I say you ask them first. Let them say first.
right,
That way they can't, for real, they can't hop on your bandwagon. Because guess what? You look good, and they're going to say whatever they can to, like, get inside your mind or get you all hype about them And it's just so important for both people to just say what it is that you want. Because if you
Hmm.
don't want anything serious, guess what? There's a woman that's on that same wavelength.
It's
But
somebody for everybody.
yeah, but go with those women. Like, don't
Right.
go with women that want something, of substance.
Right. Okay, so are there any questions that you would like to ask me?
I kind of want your take in general on like what are your thoughts as far as like dating in 2023? Like, any challenges you've encountered and how you overcame them?
I think that for me, I feel like it's a season of singleness. It's a
Mhm.
season of learning how to be content where
Mhm.
I find myself, because a lot of times you keep trying to force things and make things work and justify and deny what's there, and you know that it's not going to be something, and you still
Exactly.
would try to go ahead anyway because
Right.
you're lonely or you're tired of being alone or whatever. So I'm
Exactly.
just done with the whole forcing it. It has to be organic, it has to flow naturally. I'm
Mhm.
not going for that no more, you know?
I don't blame you. Yep, I do
Yeah.
not blame you.
It's like whoever
Yep.
is for me is for me. And that can't be
Exactly.
taken away.
Exactly. And honestly, stuff that is organic really should
Hmm.
be easy.
Right.
Like, when it's not working is when it's hard or
Right.
is when it gets complicated because it's like a triangle trying to fit inside a square piece. You know what I mean?
Right. There's going to be some difficulties, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be because y'all like incompatible, you know?
Exactly. And difficulties due to incompatibility are a real thing, girl.
Yeah, because you out here trying to force it. Like you said, fitting in the wrong peg,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It don't
Mhm.
fit.
Right. Right. And that's okay. Like one person is not better than another or worse or whatever cuz like you said there's someone for everybody, but it takes self-awareness
That
and like
part.
truly being real. Like can I see myself long term spending the rest of my life with this person? If the answer in the back of your mind is heck no, then you need to just put them in the friend zone and keep it moving. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be this horrible, awful, you're a mean person kind of thing.
Right. It can just be that they're better off as your friend. Or you also got to ask yourself, if nothing changes, can I still be with this person?
Right. Will it bother me if I deal with the same old shenanigans?
Yeah, like you know what you can handle and what you can't. You know, like your
Exactly.
irk level.
Exactly, and if I gotta keep cussing, I'm sorry. I don't like anything dysfunctional, and I know that there's no such thing as a perfect relationship, but
Mhm.
if I'm a part of anything where there's constant miscommunication and misunderstanding, then it's okay. We're just not compatible.
Right. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Um I don't think so. I would just, it was just fun. The dialogue is just so easy. You know what I mean? Because I
I know,
always,
right?
I always think about love and relationships and talk to my friends about their take and stuff like that.
So, where can we find you on social? Tell the people.
Well, I have Instagram and TikTok, both of which are Luscious Leash.
I'll put that
Um,
down below.
Okay, and then I'm also on Facebook as Alicia Francis. And honestly, I'm not someone that posts often just because of always being at work. But when I do, the content is mostly family related or traveling because those are things that I love to do.
Hmm.
But I just, like, I hope things get better for all of us out there that really want to find our person, quote
Hmm.
unquote, just because it's definitely a journey. But at the same time, we need to be okay, like you said, in our moments of singlehood and not view it as a negative thing or this awful curse or any type
Right.
of comparison. Because, we as women can compare, but why so and so got a man and her attitude stink? Because I know that's been me before. Like, are you serious, Lord? Like,
So
so
you
that's why
like,
it's like,
God, I see what you're doing for others.
yeah, exactly. So it's like we got to get out of that mindset. Get
Hmm.
out of the spirit of comparison because all it does It just leads to irritation and jealousy unnecessarily. And then
Right.
also, we don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. We could be
Exactly.
jealous of so and so because they, live in this huge mansion, but who knows if they're getting punched in the eye or constantly cheated on,
Hmm.
or who knows? So it's like the grass is not always greener.
Yeah. Preach about it.
Yeah. So,
Do you have
but
any special projects or events coming up?
I do not have any special projects or events. Now you have me thinking like I should create one. That sounds like so much fun. I might have to reach out to Tykea. Maybe we can do like a abstract voices reunion type of thing, which would be pretty cool.
Ooh, that
Yeah,
sounds fun.
like some type of, poetry cafe to kind of like take it back to the old day.
All right now. So the people want to know: are you single and ready to mingle?
Um, kind of. I mean, I'm seeing somebody, but it is so early on that I wouldn't necessarily say marriage right this second. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's
Right.
all about just getting better communication underway because that's huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. We'll say in progress.
It's pending.
Yes, it's pending cuz see stuff I don't like.
I
So
hear
we'll
that.
see. Yeah.
So, what's one thing that you would want Christian singles out there to remember and hold on to as their anchor? Like, we had to tell them one thing.
I would say God has not forgot because I know it feels like, our time is never coming, but it is. And the thing is, we also have to remember marriage is not the end all be all. We have other great
Mm-hmm.
things going for us outside of getting that one day.
Ooh,
That
preach
doesn't
about
stop
it.
our goals, that doesn't stop our careers, that doesn't stop the essence of us. And I feel like being Christian, that is so forced down our throat. He who
Mm-hmm.
finds a wife finds a good thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
All the time. So that way, like as a single person, you feel like you haven't found a good thing. You know what I mean?
But at the end of the day, I think that it's important, instead of just focusing on the man finding us, we need to be doing the work of being the good thing
That
just
is
for
true.
ourselves, you
That is
know?
true. In preparation for that. Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. That is so, so true.
Well, thank you so much for this candid convo.
Oh, no problem.
Hey, y'all. That was a great conversation, wasn't it? It is so good to be able to talk to an old friend and pick up right where you left off, even if it's been weeks or months since you've talked. That is truly the hallmark of a good friend to me. So, thank you again, sis, for reaching out for this collaboration. It was so much fun to just have a nice girl chat and catch up. And I really enjoyed it. So, for those of you who are wondering, how can you get in touch with Alicia? You can contact her on TikTok and IG at Luscious Leash. And you can find her on Facebook at Alicia Francis. Now, just as a friendly reminder, if you are listening on Spotify or Apple, please give us a rating. Leave a review to help this podcast rank higher so people can find us. Now, if this episode blessed you, once again, feel free to share it with a friend or a family member. And I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed talking. Peace and blessings.